Hey, this is Eric with Black Swan Odysseys. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is kind of a blast from the past. It was actually a video that I made back in 2019 when a group of us took a ride to and through the California redwoods. And one of the particular days we rode along the California Lost Coast. This is up in Northern California, not quite up to the border, probably I'd say roughly 50 to 75 miles south of the Oregon border. But for those of you that aren't familiar with the Lost Coast, it's a very rustic and secluded area on the California coast. Matter of fact, it's probably the most secluded coastal line anywhere in the California coast. It also has magnificent views. It's a beautiful motorcycle ride. Road surfaces are pretty rough and rustic, but quite doable. We did it with cruiser bikes and sport bikes on that ride. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. So we rode this route in a loop fashion, starting from Highway 101. The first section from there is like I said, it was only 26 miles, but it took us a good hour and a half just because there's so many twists and turns, and plus we made a stop. As you can see, the first part was freshly paved through in this area here. It was owned and managed by that Redwood National Forest, but as soon as you left the National Forest Park area, the road rapidly deteriorated. You can see a little mishap we had here. This is a good example of, on a bumpy road, to make sure your gear is tied down well. He lost his jacket and it slipped off the back and got sucked up the rear fender. You can see the tire patch. He had about a 50, 75 foot skid. Fortunately, he was able to keep the bike up. Once you got into the actual Mattole road, it sharply goes uphill as you cover the King Mountain Range. And it's just a series of S-turns up and down over the hill. You can see the road surface is nothing like it was in the park. There's tons of cracks, dips, and potholes in this area here. Road traffic was very light. This section of the road, we saw 3 cars total. And I think it's just the locals transiting to and from. Hardly any tourists on this road. That cross was kind of interesting. I'm not sure what that was about.
That was amazing.
Wasn't that cool?
That was amazing. I think we only have done. Oh.
Yeah, I know. So as I said, from Highway 101, the first section of the road is called Lower Bull Creek Road, and then it just turns into Mattole Road. And Mattole Road actually circles all the way up through Honeydew, Petroleum, and all the way to Ferndale. Once over the top of the range and riding down towards the coast, same thing, just twisty turns as you drive along. One word of caution is you're zooming through those corners. Numerous times we would find full, large lane covering potholes in the middle of the turn. The story how we found this road is we were having lunch at the Miranda Cafe in Miranda along the Avenue of the Giants, and anytime I see other motor riders, I actually always try to talk with them and find out and trade information of the rides they were taking. And this group told us about the Lost Coast, asking if we ever seen it. We said no. He says, "Oh, you've got to put that on your bucket list to try to ride it." So we gained some information and said, "Yeah, we're going to do it." One word of a caution is anytime you take directions from another group of riders, take a look and see what kind of motorcycles they're riding. Because these guys were on ABD bikes, we found out. The surface to them means quite a bit different than to somebody on a cruiser. Like I said, it wasn't horrid, and I think the scenery and just the route itself just made it worthwhile. But it was a bumpy, rustic road, lots of bumps. Entering into Honeydew, you cross the Mattole River. This is a single lane bridge, and it's planked rather than asphalt or anything. So it's kind of an interesting bridge. It's got a center unplanked area that you don't want to ride into. Not a bad thing, but just kind of interesting to ride across. Honeydew, it has a general store, an elementary school, a post office, and there's a few neighborhood houses in the area. Honeydew became a post office in 1926. There's not much here. They did have a gas stop, but the store is basically just cold drinks and snacks and the post office itself. The next section was about 43 miles, and this goes from Honeydew to Ferndale, with one town in between called Petroleum. This is going through the town of Petroleum. Petroleum is kind of an interesting town. It was the first, it's named after petroleum, and it's the first area where oil drilling was conducted in the state of California. And all of a sudden, you're in this crevasse, and it just opens up into the California coast. The stretch along the coast itself is probably about 20 miles. And like I said, this whole area is very rustic. There's no amenities, there's no parks, there's no actual picnic areas or anything. There's just a couple of pull-offs alongside the highway. A word of caution, this also is a open range. So it's when we went through here, we saw cattle on both sides of the road and down on actually onto the beach. There was a fence line that along the road, but I think that was to keep the cattle off the road rather than the beach, because the cattle were down among the sand dunes. A couple of areas where we went through, the road was narrowed down to a single lane where they were making construction over bridges and so forth. But actually, it was kind of a fun ride, just because you're basically all by yourself, except for you and the cattle. We pulled over about halfway along this 20-mile stretch to rehydrate and grab a couple photos.
Now I know why this is called the Lost Coast. You know? No shit.
Once back on the road, went around a couple of curves and we observed something that I haven't seen in a long time, and that's a paved road that went up a hill. From all appearances, this hill that we climbed, the road had about a 10% grade to it. And the camera doesn't do this shot justice, but here's a prime example of what I mean. You go around a corner and all of a sudden you're in gravel. I don't think the locals even wanted it, fixed up, because I think they like the road this way because it kind of keeps the tourism down. Another interesting fact I found is the Church of Scientology has one of the 3 vaults that they keep their artifacts in. We never saw the entrance to it. It was a simple gravel road that leads off the coastline, and we saw several of those roads, but never knew which one was the one that led up there. Once off the coast, you kind of rode back into a country area, ranch style country, with just a couple of houses here and there. But like I said, it was pretty rustic, very few houses. Once you get up to the top of the mountain and you go back into the forest, the road smooths out and the pavement is a lot better shape. And matter of fact, as the closer you get to the town of Ferndale, the better the pavement became. And it still was one twisty turn after another all the way. This road was probably the best ride of the week. The other road that we took that was rather interesting, which was similar to this, but it went inland, was Alder Point Road. And if you ever heard of the Netflix documentary Murder on the Mountain, we rode right through that area. That documentary was made. That video is on our channel here too. Alder Point Road rides right through the heart of Humboldt County's marijuana grows. So my route ratings were as follows. Road surface was 1 to 2. This is due to the scattered potholes, some very deep ones, numerous cracks and dips, and several sections reduced to broken asphalt or gravel. Topography was a 7 out of 8. The entire route was made of twists and turns and numerous hairpins, so it was just a fun ride all the way around for a motorcycle. Scenery was an 8 to 9. Mountain views, ocean views, local valleys. Just when you could get a chance to take a look at the scenery, it was gorgeous. Recommended rider level skill, medium to advanced. And this is because the route was filled with just twists and turns, and many of them having some serious road degradation, many times in the middle of the curves. All in all, I highly recommend this road for motorcycling. It's just a beautiful ride, and I hope to ride it again someday soon. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next ride.